From the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications, your home for complete Marshall University news. You're watching MU Report.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for this final MU Report of 2018. I'm Ryan Murphy.
And I'm Olivia Zarilla. We are a student-produced newscast of the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Marshall University. We air this broadcast not only on West Virginia Public Broadcasting, but also Network West Virginia and YouTube. Now, on to our top story.
As the semester comes to a close, Marshall administrators are looking ahead to 2019 for effective ways to bring more students and to keep them here until they graduate. President Jerry Gilbert says recruitment and retention will be an even bigger priority in the new year.
That's partly because higher education is changing around the country, but it's especially true in West Virginia. After intense marketing efforts in 2018, the school saw a slight increase in enrollment this fall, but it also saw freshman enrollment stay flat or decline slightly. Dr. Gilbert says one of several promising areas for adding students, INTO, which is the university's international student program. He says the school will also step up its efforts in high schools, and it will continue to examine costs. Tuition increases have resulted when lawmakers repeatedly cut the amount of tax money coming to the school. Representatives from all West Virginia's colleges and universities have been largely unsuccessful in persuading the state to stop cutting higher education.
And when the money is tight, it puts a squeeze on college students and their own budgets, which makes this holiday season a time of stress more than enjoyment for some. The season puts food with family and friends in the spotlight, but what happens when there's no money to buy those groceries? Sean Lashley has the story.
It's a time for giving and sharing, for celebrating with friends and family. For many, it's a time of joy. For some, a time of struggle.
A lot of people in Huntington are struggling, and they rely on things such as this food pantry.
Students set up a donation station in the Memorial Student Center to collect canned goods and promote awareness of the issue.
We are Marshall MedLife, and MedLife stands for Medicine, Education, Development for Low-Income Families Everywhere. And we work locally and abroad, and we do a lot of outreach projects. This is benefiting Facing Hunger Food Bank in Huntington, and we are collecting canned goods and monetary donations.
Facing Hunger Food Bank was founded in 1983, and while they initially only served Cabell and Wayne County, they greatly expanded their operation after their first year.
We are a nonprofit agency, one of two in the state of West Virginia, that provides donated food to our 248 member organizations, and those are like food pantries, soup kitchens, city missions. In our 17 county area, we serve 116,000 adults and children per year. We distribute, last year, a little over 6 million pounds of food to those 116,000.
According to facinghunger.org, 1 in 6 West Virginians struggle with hunger.
For our holiday season, we are always in need of donations. We have a lot of big food drives going on, so if you see our barrel sitting out, please feel free to donate. Feel free to bring any donations here to the food bank. Or if you would like to make a monetary donation, that's fabulous. Facinghunger.org is our website. There's a donate button on the website, and we would love to have your support and participation.
Many college students are familiar with the routine of subsisting off of ramen noodles. However, some don't even have that luxury. Approximately 48% of college students polled in a Wisconsin Hope Lab study reported being food insecure in the past 30 days. Someone you know may be struggling themselves. When you sit down for dinner during the holidays with your friends and family, try to consider those less fortunate than yourself. Sean Lashley, MU Report.
This next story is also about the holidays, but it's about words and beliefs. Regardless of a person's belief system, most would agree the holidays are a time to pause and be grateful and give back, as Sean's story explained. But some who celebrate with specifics like Merry Christmas sometimes claim a generic holiday greeting amounts to political correctness instead of a nod toward inclusiveness.
More than half of Americans don't have a preference about how they're greeted while holiday shopping.
But the topic is still an issue every year, and with good reason.
People feel like they're not being considered, or like other beliefs and values are not being considered.
The phrases Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays create controversy every year because those who say Merry Christmas say that they feel like they're being told not to do so, while those who use Happy Holidays say that they just want every religion to be recognized.
Happy Holidays is fine if people say it to me, but I feel like it's the people who go out of their way and try and remove Christ from Christmas that takes it to an extreme level.
I don't get offended either way. I respect other people's beliefs and customs because if I expect them to respect the fact that I celebrate Christmas, then I should respect their wishes as well and their traditions.
But because 90% of Americans and 95% of Christians celebrate Christmas, any kind of card or holiday decoration without the word Christmas in it can feel like an erasure, even though a handful of other religious holidays fall around the same time.
I'll usually say Merry Christmas back just because that's what I'm in the habit of doing. But if someone were to ask me to say Happy Holidays instead because it offended them, I probably would.
If there wasn't Jesus, then it wouldn't be Christmas. So I feel like taking it out of that is just trying to cater to everyone, which is fine too because every religion has a place here. But I think there's more to be worried about than whether someone says Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas.
And many students share that belief.
I just think people need to quit getting their panties in a bunch over this stuff, really, because just live and let live. It's not a big deal at the end of the day.
Which is why if you're ever caught off guard by a greeting atypical to what you normally say, many people suggest just responding, "Thank you."
This next holiday story is much more sobering. Marshall's Information Technology Department is warning those on and beyond campus to watch out for scams this season posing as holiday bargains.
If something looks too good to be true, it probably is.
With the rush of holiday shopping comes the chase of the best deals possible. Some deals that show up in your inbox, however, may be more sinister than a holiday offer.
If they can use, a bargain or a good deal to lure somebody in to put in their account information, then they have access to that account.
Marshall University IT departments say internet scammers are on an increase and looking to hook more than just ornaments this holiday season.
With an Amazon account, then they can go in and do even more damage if you have, your credit card and all your personal information saved inside your Amazon account.
Marshall IT says the battle against phishing emails is a constant one, as getting access to just one email account can grant scammers access to email accounts across campus.
They're very intelligent, and they study our communication habits. A number of the phishing messages that we've seen this year mimic the same style that we internally send.
Marshall IT say the best prevention method is to stop, think about the legitimacy of the email, and to safely connect with the organization the email claims to be from to see if it's legit or not.
Technology, as the bad guys are using technology to make their job easier, we need to leverage technology to try and identify that quicker.
Perry says the best thing to do in case of a found scam email is to report it to Marshall IT so they can prevent it from affecting anyone else as soon as possible. Marshall IT says it's cracking down to make sure those who use its computers don't get hacked or ripped off. If you do find a suspicious email in your Marshall inbox, forward it to phishing@marshall.edu. In our last EMU report, we discussed the recurring problem of fire alarms going off in the residence halls when there's not a fire. Housing and Residence Life agreed to talk with reporter Larry Lonstein Jr. about the late-night wake-up calls and the serious business behind it all.
When the fire alarms ring as often as it has this season, Marshall Housing and Residence Life say students need to get out of the building as fast as they can. Their lives may be on the line if they don't.
We do fire drills at the beginning of the semester. We do not notify the students of that. But when we do fire alarm testing, that is usually done over some type of break where we go through and we test each smoke detector or sprinkler. And so usually those are done over fall, winter, or spring break.
You got your smoke alarms. The smoke alarms will make them go off if somebody goes downstairs and turns a valve on the sprinkler system. The tamper switch causes it to go off.
There have been nuisance fire alarms for many reasons, but they're considered the real thing. Drills are not conducted as often, but there are consequences for not leaving the building as directed.
Be in the elevator, if you get in the elevator and say that elevator stops on the floor and there is a fire, you could be burned. and that elevator will not go any further. So always take the stairwells, always check to make sure that there's no heat when going into those stairwells. Always know the exits for the buildings that you live in. There's always more than one exit, so please make sure that you're checking those things and know where they're at.
Use the fire escapes because your fire escapes have a fire barrier in them.
If they are found not to be leaving the building, you know, the fire chief of the city of Huntington can come in and write them a ticket for that. I think it's around $100 and some, if not more.
Sawyer said the cause of the Holderby Hall fire alarm was because of a tamper switcher in their sprinkler system. Larry Lonstein Jr., MU Report.
While it's not discussed or even widely known, human trafficking is real, closer than we realize, and growing. Students recently had a chance to see a documentary about the horrors of human trafficking and the people fighting to end it. The Marshall Digital Forensics Program screened a documentary about the group Operation Underground Railroad, a group of ex-military and law enforcement officers who work with foreign governments to rescue victims of child trafficking. Students who attended also learned how they themselves can make a difference by either donating money or by taking an online course about how to spot victims of trafficking.
Awareness is number one, and then two, I think they need to get kind of off the couch, if you will, a little bit, and kind of volunteer and maybe contribute financially if they can. Dollars, $5, whatever they can do, everything makes a difference.
We all are out in our communities. We're in our institutions, whether it's university level or businesses or social groups, and we see this happening, but we may not be aware that it's happening right in front of us. And so we want to encourage people to go and take that training because they'll come away with at least a basic understanding of what to watch for. And when you see something, to say something.
Those who want to donate or learn more about the online training can visit OURrescue.org.
MU Report would usually start the newscast with our final story this semester, but the annual fountain ceremony story is how we close today. That's because this poignant moment very few communities share, and as Denai Belai reports, this year's remembrance was as always bittersweet.
A timeless ceremony for an unforgettable event in Marshall University's history. On November 14, 1970, Southern Airways Flight 932, carrying the Marshall football team, coaches, doctors, athletic director, and boosters, crashed into a hill 2 miles short of the Tri-State Airport on its return home from a game in North Carolina.
My soul grows restless and seems to only be quieted when I finally arrive in town. My first stop is always the crash site, and while I know my dad and our family members are not there, it seems to be the place that I feel the closest to him and the place that I feel like I've come home.
The plane crash killed all 75 passengers aboard flight on that day, leaving not only the university and its students, but the entire Huntington community in mourning. Each year on November 14th, the memorial fountain is turned off until the following spring to remember the lives lost on this day that changed Marshall's story forever.
I think it's kind of what makes Marshall Marshall. You know, no one has a story of ours. Not that it's something that we would have loved to have happened. You know, no one really wanted a plane to crash, but it's something that makes us different and sets us apart from any other school in the nation. It's something that we take a lot of pride in as players, coaches, and everyone in this community. It's something that, you know, we don't want to forget about it, and we come out here twice a year to turn the fountain on and off and kind of remembrance of the people we lost.
The tradition has continued 48 years later, and it has become the mission of crash victims' loved ones to ensure that the 75 are never forgotten. Denai Belai, MU Report.
That's all the time we have for this last MU Report of the year. Our newscast is completely generated by students in the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications. MU Report is a television lab, and we're glad you're watching. You can always catch this broadcast on YouTube, and be sure to follow our reporters on Twitter and MU Report on Facebook. I'm Olivia Zarilla.
And I'm Ryan Murphy. Have a great day.